it developed, I think, really via bird books. So here, British birds. I don't know why, but the Rev Morris, this is a thoroughly natural theological book, this whole series. Now, these are actually hand-coloured by Bernardo's kids, orphans in the 19th century. And I got them because my father, when he used to go to Salisbury Cathedral, he was a canon of the cathedral, and he went to chapter meetings, and he would drop me, this little boy, outside. And I found my way, well, it was right there, into this magical world, this paradise. It's called Beech's Bookshop. And on the left, there's a big table. I could only my chin just came up to the surface, with these two old ladies. And I went there, once a fortnight, something like that. And they let me, with my pocket money, they let me buy these 8 volumes, volume by volume. See here, Redmond, Douglas, O'Hanlon, the Vicarage, Kahn, Wilts. Now, well, I paid in all with my pocket money. It took about 2 years to buy these, £2.10 for the lot. Now they're worth about £700. But they should never have put a griffon vulture in here, for instance. And I began to look for such birds seriously. And eventually, well, after Borneo and the Amazon, and I became hooked, just entranced by life in jungles. And the big one, the one I'd always been thinking I would certainly go there one day, was the Congo jungle, right on the equator. And, well, this particular object comes from a very violent village, a lot of, well, low-grade crime, murders, always with the battle between the chiefs, the royal house, and people who were descended from slaves. Now, well, that interests me a little bit, but nothing like as much as this. Now, you have to imagine, it's midnight. All these things happen at midnight, far from anywhere. There's a really powerful man, an old man. Everybody is terrified of him. They go into their huts when he appears in the main street. And this man's name, this one, was Doku. Now, he is a sorcerer. And, well, I asked him for a fetish for my protection in Oxford, on the grounds that I had some enemies at home, and then I got very worried, thinking I might have enemies. I don't want to have enemies anyway, even the milkman. Now, so at midnight, he gave me this little furry bag, which I seem to have in my pocket still. And in it, he said, the voice of power there is very high. He said, "This fetish, which you must never open, Mr. Redmond, it contains the finger of a child. The finger of this child will protect you. It will keep your thoughts from being old and sad. And this is a fetish. It may not cross water too often. The men you hunt with, they can glance at it, and your wife may touch it. But if she washes her private parts with it, it will lose its power at once." So, there we are. My wife said be the last thing she'd wash her private parts with. But this is very serious. It was so difficult to get the tone right in the Congo book, because somewhere where absolutely everybody you meet, from the president down, believes something, it gets to you. There's really no escape. Now, this is what your fetish is meant to protect you from. This is a hanging doll. There's a doll like this for every kind of death you wish upon your enemy. Now, again, a very serious matter. to get Doku even to produce this would cost you half, as it were, a year's salary from your work in the plantation, wherever. Many, many chickens. Everything is done in chickens in this village. Now this doll, well, it's worked 12 times. Each knot is a success. Some poor man has hanged himself, as Doku intended. Now, to prepare it, the mechanism is foolproof. You scrape the neck here, Doku scraped this, see how well used it is? And that wood, with magical properties, he mixes with special herbs from the jungle, and then dries them out on a plantain leaf, and then makes them into a little powder, and puts it in a leaf bag, and gives it to his oldest wife, whose job is to go and see the victim, the youngest wife rather, the most beautiful wife, say a 16-year-old. The sorcerer has lots of wives. Now, puts the powder into the victim's palm wine, and the next day, his oldest, grimmest wife, he sends her around to say this terrible message: your palm wine has been tampered with. Now, that's a curse. A curse is infectious, no one will talk to you, you're all alone. Maybe your youngest wife, if you are lucky, will still feed you, maybe not. And, well, you die within 4 months at the most. And when I got back to Oxford eventually, I talked to Anthony Storr, a psychiatrist, and he said, yes, that's absolutely right. It's the same in the West. Untreated acute depression, you're dead within 4 months. That world, well, I probably still haven't got clear of it completely. Still fascinates me, all of us. And that's why I think in Almere you'll find extraordinary procession of different buildings to different denominations of Christianity, and then there's a Buddhist temple and a Hindu temple and a mosque, of course. Well, I think it's all built upon this. Every religion is a way of defending ourselves from the fear of inevitable death. Now, how would one cheer oneself up? Well, the most beautiful woodpeckers in the world. That'd do.